says that he will now approach the Sheriff of the High Court to force Old Mutual to reinstate him as the CEO of the insurance giant. Moyo was not allowed to return to his duties as CEO of Old Mutual as he was once again refused entry to his office in Sandton this morning. This despite the High Court ruling in his favour. Now, for more on this, we are joined this afternoon in the studio by Newzroom Afrika's reporter Mbali Thethani. So, Mbali, welcome to Newzroom Afrika once again. We find ourselves in this position. All expectations were this afternoon that Peter Moyo would probably most likely go back to work, but that was not to be. What transpired this morning?
Well, of course, we saw Peter Moyo making his way into the Old Mutual offices this morning. He was expecting to head back into his office, but yet again he was met with the legal team of Old Mutual, where he was told that he will not be allowed back in court, of course, or rather back at work. But of course, we do know that this has been a long and lengthy court battle. He was first dismissed earlier this year by Old Mutual after they said that because he's got a conflict of interest. So he went to court, won that court battle, was then told that he should be allowed to go back to work. But once he went back to work, he was then given a letter of dismissal once more. Of course, saying that now that he can't go back to work subsequently. So we've seen this court battle with Old Mutual. He does not seem deterred. He has said that now he will approach the Sheriff of the High Court for Old Mutual to be instructed to follow that court ruling, allowing him to go back to work.
So what does this mean? Does it mean that Old Mutual is in contempt of court once again?
Of course, he says that Old Mutual is indeed in contempt of court and he should be allowed back to work. So we do know that they are appealing, especially the second matter. So they are appealing this, and this is expected to be heard in the next 9 days. But they're saying that even though they are appealing this matter, he should be allowed back at work because it is indeed a court order. And this is a court order specifically from the first time he was dismissed. So he is expected back in court in the next 9 days. And of course, this is where the company will then give reasons as to why they will not allow Peter Moyo back into his position as CEO. So it will be quite interesting. They're saying that now they are working on a process of filing papers, especially to the Sheriff of the Court, to explain to them why he is not being allowed back. But they say that they will know, especially his legal team, saying that the Sheriff of the Court will now need to order for Old Mutual to allow Peter Moyo back at work.
Trevor Manuel did address the media because the debacle that's taking place between the CEO, Peter Moyo, as well as the board, has had a negative impact on the share pricing of Old Mutual. What exactly is to be expected now? Because he seemed to be almost handing over some sort of an olive branch at some stage.
Well, it is a tricky situation. I mean, these are the kinds of questions we did pose to Peter Moyo. He's basically saying that because this is still yet to be heard in the courts, it's a bit shaky ground at the moment. So he is expected to explain much more in length, especially when this issue is heard once more on the 9th. Or rather in the next 9 days. So it will be quite interesting to see, Thami, what will pan out from then onwards.
So what should be expected? Peter Moyo is not going to try to go back until the Sheriff of the Court?
He's not going back to work at all. I mean, he's saying that this is his 3rd time now trying to go back to work. He'll have to wait for that 9 days, or he'll have to wait for the Sheriff of the Court. We do know that once you apply at the Sheriff of the Court, it's not really an easy matter. It's not something as simple as you apply today and you'll get your response tomorrow. It's a legal process, so it will take some time, but he says that he's not backing down and he wants to go back into his position, Thami.
And one of the things that we expected today were the friends of Peter Moyo to picket outside Old Mutual in support of him, but also this did not happen today. If you could just give us a summary as to what transpired.
We did speak to one of the people who are actually leading this whole picket. They are from Public Interest South Africa, and they say that they actually sought legal advice as to find out as to can they actually go and do this picket outside. But the legal advice that they sought is now saying that they should actually apply to be friends of the court to show their support for Peter Moyo. So they backed down from picketing today outside Old Mutual, and they're saying that now they'll rather take the legal route into showing showing their support for Peter Moyo.
This certainly is a developing story. It's dragging on a whole lot longer than what we had initially anticipated. But Mbali, we shall be touching base with you once again very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so that's it as far as Old Mutual and Peter Moyo is concerned for now.